Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. They tripping Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. They tripping Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
As you can tell, last year it was an off year, but we reloaded and now it is our boss year. A Devo back there, and yeah, we got the badger. Don't forget my shun and don't forget the pass rush. Jameis QB1 dropping down to MT. Handed off the Alvin with the quick feet. So when you see the Saints marching, yeah, we gon' trouble you at the Super Bowl party, eating on them double. We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. They tripping Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. They tripping Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Another episode of the NewOrleans.Football podcast. I'm Nick Underhill with Mike Triplett live in the Better Call Botto podcast studio, and we got Kevin in the remote, unsponsored studio, which you can, which you can purchase,
Kevin.
which
You can sponsor it
right now. Yeah, look at you could, if you're a muscle supplement company, if you sell shirts that only go up to size medium, hit us up. Kevin will put those on, stretch them out, make them pop, and you'll be good to go.
Think of the money you could save. Your logo starts out small and then Kevin puts it on. And
Yeah,
it
you don't even have
grows.
to use as much ink. Yeah, so I mean, there's just a lot of benefits here. Sponsor Kevin, whatever you need to do. Shampoo companies are probably out, but there's a lot of options here for various people. We got a good show for you guys today. As always, we're presented by Dat Wrap Company. And if you want to get your car wrapped, if you want to look like Batman, if you want to put your logo on something that people are going to see, whatever you got to do, hit them up. Check out their Instagram, same name, Dat Wrap Company. You can see their work. It looks outstanding. So if you want to grow your business with the most cost-effective form of advertising, they specialize in graphic design, custom and commercial vehicle wraps, wall murals, and storefront signage. Whether you're wanting to give your car a fresh new look or you want to transform the face of your business, DWC can help get you noticed. Call today at 985-237-4781. And if you need legal help with any of the following: car wrecks, offshore injuries, 18-wheeler collisions, Maritime Jones Act, hurricane and storm claims, you better call Botto 504-323-4777 or 985-677-1085 for your free consultation and case review, battolaw.com. And last but not least, hit up our guys, Firehouse Subs, Veterans Boulevard location. They just did a huge giveaway on our site. There's still a few left. Use the code Firehouse Vets, 2 months for the price of one to get you started. Mike has some great stuff up there. The fallout from the game, a story on the impact of what happened after some of the calls in the game. We got the film study up there. We're bringing it every day. We're hitting you over the head with a piece of content. So just sign up now, get 2 months for the price of one, because at some point you're going to want to sign up. So just get that over with. Fellas, how's it going?
Well, first of all, I've been here 6 days now. This is my 6th day, and my car still looks the same. I thought I was getting the Batmobile look as part of my signing bonus.
We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Yeah. You got to earn it. That's like a tier 2 player thing. You're still like in the rookie tier, so you got to work your way up the pyramid a little bit. Yeah.
Fair. All right.
Yeah,
I didn't
don't hold your
read
breath,
all
Mike.
the incentive clauses.
Hey, man, I'm just wondering, I was wondering how long it was going to take for the slander to go up to get quadrupled. So, Mike
Came
has
out
been here a
swinging.
week, and I done took more shots at the intro of the pod than I took all last month. So. It's like I'm just like round five of the boxing match, and it ain't even started yet. So,
Well, it's good. It is good to be here with you. Finally, we got all three of us together.
I'm
Now
excited,
all
man.
the memes could be what, Miami Heat, who are the, Golden State Warriors, who
Yeah, we got
Pippen and Horace. We got both. I'll be Horace Grant. I was a big Horace Grant guy growing up, man.
Well, when we
Horace is
signed
a-
Mike,
he's a good worker.
I was gonna say, I was gonna pull a LeBron like he did when the Heat not one, not two, not three, not four. How many championships we getting? I'll be Bosh. It's all good. I'll get some rebounds. Get a few perimeter shots. Take a few L's. Play center. It's all good. It's all good. All right, man. Let's get into this game. Let's get into this game. Obviously, listen, Mike. I think you've mentioned it a couple of times. I've heard you said, we've seen them go. We've seen them play 8 quarters of football, and they have one good quarter of offense. And as good as the defense played this game, it's hard to think about how this game went without, first looking at the offense and seeing, I don't even want to call them missed opportunities, but just some of the things that we expected to see from this offense, with more weapons and better skill position players from last year that we haven't seen yet. So just starting off, what happened offensively during this game, and why aren't they able to, generate some of the offense that we expected them to generate, before, they started actually playing games?
Well, it is only one good quarter out of 8, and I have said that. So I'm not going to, paint this rose-colored, but the one thing that was interesting that stuck with me that Dennis Allen said yesterday is I felt like I got transported back to 2021 when he said for 3.5 quarters, we were playing that game exactly how we wanted to play it. And that's exactly how they approached last season too. They were perfectly fine with trying to win a game 12-9 or 14-10, and being the one that didn't turn the ball over, that didn't make the mistake, that won the field position battle and relied on the defense and field position. And so that's how that was the mindset entering this game. That's why he didn't go for the 57-yard field goal before halftime. It's why they ran the ball against Tampa Bay more than you would expect a team to run the ball against Tampa Bay. So they were perfectly willing to win another game 9-3 against Tampa Bay and call it a successful day. So if we don't see more of a spark against the Carolina team that's struggling right now, then the finger starts to hover over the panic button a little bit more. Tampa Bay, you almost throw out the window only because they're like, this is a heavyweight fight, and we're going to approach it like just survive it and win on the scorecard at the end. So we need to see that spark from the team. I think the thing we felt really good about coming out of the Atlanta game was, they looked sloppy for a while, but when they absolutely had to have some offense, look at all the offense they have at their disposal in the fourth quarter. I think that's the scariest thing is they absolutely had to have some offense and couldn't get the ball to those playmakers against Tampa Bay. And we're going to need to see that. I mean, the jury is clearly still out on Jameis Winston, and I don't think we have ever learned or will ever learn how is Jameis great, is Jameis bad. I just think we're going to have to get used to the idea that from week to week, consistency is probably going to be elusive.
Yeah, look, the one thing that I would say about him is that, and I think I said this after the game, is when they got to a place where they needed to win this game, Jameis wasn't able to do it. And I think part of the issue with that, though, too, is if you look at the two quarterbacks, you look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady went into that game and he said, I'm not losing this game. I'm not doing anything to put my team into danger. I'm going to keep doing what I need to do. And eventually the opportunity is going to come. As soon as there was adversity in this game, I think Jameis said, I'm going to throw him out of this. And when he said, I'm going to throw him out of this, you got into trouble. And they can't play like that. In a game like this, it just needs to be, all right, I'm going to be calm. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to be the steadying presence that everybody else falls behind. And I'm not sure that's the vibe they got from their quarterback in this game. And look, that can be a learning experience. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a fatal flaw. I think that's something we saw Jameis used to do. Maybe he takes a step back into that, corrects it, and comes back and he plays like he did against Atlanta, because we've seen him operate two different ways in the pretty much the same setting. And really that Atlanta game was even more dire than this game, and he kept his head in it. So I'm not going to say he can't do it, but I think that something went a little bit sideways for him.
I have a question for you since you just did the film study. The 3 interceptions, that's piling on him too much, because eventually it did become he had to throw his way out of it.
Sure.
But the first one, the game was still 3-3 when he threw that interception in the end zone when he was targeting Chris Olave. What'd you think of the decision, the throw? I mean, that one felt close. He gave Olave a chance at it. It was a good play by the defense. But was that the wrong? Was he trying to win it on one throw on that one? Did you think? Did you see better options?
Look, I mean, I don't want to exonerate his decision making completely, because there was definitely some stuff in this game that I think you could say he could do better. And there's probably even more than we're able to decipher, because you don't always know where his eyes are supposed to be and all that. Yeah. So there's probably more. But on every single one of those deep throws, Chris Olave is open. So like you're looking at him. And you're not right. Yeah. So you're not looking at these plays and thinking, what is this guy doing? Why is he going down the field with it? They were inaccurate. The first one, when he fell to the ground,
Yeah.
He's going to the inside of the hash. The ball comes to the outside of the hash, and that's how he ends up falling. The next one where it looked like he lost his balance, the throw's going somewhere that different than what Olave expected. On the touchdown that got picked off, if he puts the ball over more to the right, it's a touchdown. The ball trails a little bit left, a little bit behind them, and it gets picked off. So I'm not looking at those and thinking, what's this guy doing? Because look, every single time Pat Mahomes throws the ball down the field, there's probably somebody open within 5 yards, and you aren't looking at that guy because the pass is completed. So those things open you up to second guessing when they don't work. So I didn't think a lot of them were crazy. The one that I thought was really bad, and there was still a throw there, and he made the same throw last week on the same exact play to Jarvis Landry, was the one to Juwan that got picked off. But when Mike's right there in your purview, I think you got to see Mike, you got to get him the ball, play it safe, keep going. And that's what we're talking about when versus, the I'm not going to make a mistake versus I'm going to throw him back into this game.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my take also. To the interception, we're talking about the deep one. I thought it was a good decision. I thought it was a bad throw, right? I thought that if he'd have let Olave run up under the ball into the corner of the end zone a little bit more, I think that's a touchdown. And I just think it goes to show that those guys are not on the same page. But one thing that that kind of stood out to me about this game, and you guys can comment on it, is I feel like the defense had a game plan, and like you both alluded to, listen, we can win this game 9-3. Like, we're not trying to, this is not a slugfest. This is Tampa. This is a division opponent. We know how these games go, right? If the Saints beat Tampa 6-3, no one's going to say that's a bad game, right? That's a good win for the Saints, right? Because that's how they want to play these games. And DA said as much, but I got the feeling at times that the offensive philosophy that they went into this game with was a little bit disconnected from how they were playing defense. Right. This was a game where the first team that makes a mistake loses, right? The one that turns the ball over, the one that, you just have to stay in the game and see how it plays out. And I just kind of felt like the offense, it was a lot more risk in the throws, right? It was a lot more intermediate throws. It was more, the further you throw the ball downfield, the higher chance it is for it to be, something negative to happen, right? And so I just thought the offensive game plan was a little bit disconnected from what they were doing defensively, because they didn't need Jameis to score even 15 points this game, right? If he would have gotten a 10 and kept playing like they would have, then I think they would have been, coming out of this game with a victory. And there's some other things, the Mark Ingram fumble, the referees, that one drive where they extended the third down twice. There are some things that kind of went against them, but I just thought that they didn't play the game offensively that they needed to play relative to how they were playing defense.
The Ingram fumble, I mean, I don't like pointing to it as the reason they lost, because Tampa Bay gave the Saints the same gift in the first half when Tom Brady fumbled, when they were going to have a sure field goal and maybe more. So those two counteracted each other. The game deserved to be tied going into the fourth quarter. But that is a huge question with Jameis Winston. It's one I had before the season. It's one I have more than ever after this game, that we're going to try to get to the bottom of this week, and hopefully with a guest on the next podcast too will be a question, is how much of that was the Saints went into this game thinking we can attack Olave? Did Pete Carmichael say in his ear, let's go for Olave? It's open, because of how Dennis Allen said they were paying a ton of attention to Mike Thomas in that game.
Yeah.
And how much of it was Jameis deciding that's the throw he wanted to make, and it went against the patient gameplay. And sometimes we'll never know for sure, because I'm sure that, as Dennis Allen said, it's not like they say this throw is for Mike Thomas, this throw is for Jarvis Landry. It's here's the play design, and the coverage will dictate who's open. That was a lot of deep attempts. You're right, in a game where you thought, well, if you guys are playing this game and you're willing to win it 10-3, why are you trying to get all those home runs?
And to take it a step further, what you were saying, Mike, I looked at the first drive, and there was a couple of passes, or even the first couple of drives, where he steps back, he first read not there, second read not there, and he gets to the check down. And it seems like it's within the design of the play, right? It was in motion. He got to the check down quick, and I think it was Tony Jones caught one of them. He gets the ball, and he gets, I think, 5 or 6 yards after the play, right? And I think as the game went on, some of that went away, right? He started to hold the ball longer. He started to look for more opportunities downfield. So yeah, I think that's definitely in line with what happened, and I think it had effect on their offense as the game played on.
Yeah, on those 7 throws, I think there were 3 or 4 of them that were definitely design plays. One of them specifically, it was just Olave and Mike got doubled, and Mike kind of like ran an inside and then outside route. And like, it was clearly not like a design route, but he saw how the coverage was, and he's like, all right, I'm going to pull the safety. and now I'm going to pull this guy, and I'm going to keep them both down so Olave can get deep. So that was really the only place he could go with it. And there were a couple more that I think, especially early in the game, they're max protecting, and the idea was, all right, let's see if there's a shot here. But a few of them, Olave's up the slot in one of them, or running up the seam in one of them, and that's a deep shot. That probably wasn't specifically designed for him. So I think it was probably a little bit of both. They wanted to see what was there. They saw it was open. They went for it. And then I also think on a few, Jameis made the decision. As you said, and I think DA said it too, they just went to the well way too many times.
Right.
And it became clear at a certain point, this play is not working. The accuracy isn't there. To Jameis's credit, he stuck with it, and
the last
and hit
two
a
were the
dime.
most successful.
Yeah, but at a certain point, you got to say, stop this. Don't do it anymore. This is over. It's not working. Let's get the easy money that we were getting on the first drive of the game. And I think, Kevin, you made a really good point there about just how they were it just felt a little, it did honestly, I wouldn't have came to that thought myself, but it did feel a little disconnected with kind of grinding it out on defense, sticking in there, fighting for it versus looking for big plays, hunting for it, throwing 40 times. I mean, granted, the last 8 or 9 attempts are probably when you're trying to fight your way back. I guess. I mean, a couple of those drives were really short, but that number probably got a little more bloated, but they were throwing 30, 35 times. And I think that's different than how they would have approached this game maybe last year. And I hate to bring up people who aren't here anymore, but I think Sean Payton would have had a slightly more conservative offensive game plan in this game.
Well, what's interesting is how much and how well they ran the ball.
Yeah.
I would usually you play Tampa Bay, that gets thrown out the window, and they had so much success. You think that would have opened up a lot more, and maybe that's why they felt like, oh man, after Ingram popped a couple of those early carries and Taysom had a big long run, I thought maybe they went back to the drawing board and thought, okay, now let's hit him with the deep shot. So that could be why they went after him so much early. But yeah, this game, it's impossible to say, oh, it was a conservative game plan where they were willing to win a close game and they threw 7 deep attempts.
Right.
There's a disconnect with me trying to explain what happened in the game.
Let's just go where everybody's going. We'll start with the heat check, and we'll start with Kevin. Where are you at on Jameis, and what's your approach? A lot of people want him out of there. I think that's premature, but I just kind of want to hear what everybody has to say about that.
Well, with respect to my crush on the red rifle, it's just, listen, I don't think it's time. I mean, listen, you spent all offseason, right, preparing for one thing. I don't think you jumped the gun after 2 games, right? I think that's a little premature, especially given, I think you have to look at the context of the situation, right? I do think there's something to, Tampa Bay is just a good defense, and Ty Bowles is a great defensive coordinator, and you see a team with, we've seen a team on the other side of the ball with good weapons and, offensive-minded head coach and a Hall of Fame quarterback struggle against a defense that seems to play well against them, right? Now, the Saints have had success against Ty Bowles. They had the blowout game, but I just think that's a good defense. So, that's one thing. And I think the other thing is something that DA mentioned was just, I think it's a work in progress, right? Jameis was hurt in training camp. Mike missed some training camp time. We saw the first game how those guys are not on the same page. Olave is a rookie. Jarvis is a new guy on the team this year. So I just don't think these guys know each other offensively yet. I think they have a lot to learn about each other. I don't think that the inherent trust that where a guy is going to be every time you throw the ball, I just don't think that they're there yet, right? And I think it's just something that they got to work through. And I think, at the end of the day, you would like to think that Jameis is the guy that can run this offense, but I think there has to be a change. He has to get rid of the ball quicker. And that has to be, I can't say Peter Jameis or the offensive staff for Jameis because I'm not in the rooms, but they have to get him easier offense. They have to get the ball out quickly like they were in the first drive, in my opinion, right? Get Jameis some easy offense, some easy throws, some high completion percentage throws, let him get a flow in the game. And once you get those safeties stepping up a little bit, then you take your deep shots. Because that's what they did last year with Deontay, right? They play action you to death, and then we catch them slipping one time and now the ball's flying over your head. So I just think they need to dial it back a little bit offensively, realize that this is a defensive team. You probably can win if you score 20 points a game and play offense that way, right? You don't need to break a record to win games in this league. So that's kind of where I stand on it.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that from the Saints offense for the entire Sean Payton, Drew Brees era. We saw it with Teddy Bridgewater. It's that you can design 5-yard throws, you can design 7-yard throws, you can design slants, you can design throws to Alvin Kamara, who hopefully is back this week. And we saw that coming out in the second half against Atlanta to get their rhythm back. We saw it, glimpses of it at the beginning of this game. I want to know if that's something they can go to when they need to. If Jameis can do that, then he's the answer because, we know Andy Dalton could probably do that, but Jameis also has the spark element, and I don't think Andy Dalton, now the team's going to start scoring 24 points, and Jameis is not putting the Saints in bad positions. He didn't have a turnover until the fourth quarter of that game. So I think Jameis can play the smart game and also have the home run threat in his back pocket. But we need to see that they can have a rhythm offense with him at quarterback. And I haven't seen enough to say they can't, but that's obviously what they need to turn to.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's troubling that there's 6.5 quarters of them not having any rhythm in their offense. So that is something that we need to see them do and do quickly. And it's no longer, well, these guys aren't there. They aren't the right players. They have rhythm players. Mike Thomas is a rhythm player. Jarvis Landry is a rhythm player. Alvin Kamara is a rhythm player. Obviously, he wasn't out there in the last game. So they need to do something to get that going. And I don't know if it's the plays that are being designed, if it's the quarterback, if it's a little bit of both. It's probably a little bit of both. But at some point, there has to be sustained drives. And at this point, I don't know that if you look at them and think, okay, they can have a 10-play, 8-minute drive. Yeah. Can they do that? Like, I don't know if they can do that. I don't know if that's I think
the first drive kind of gave you a little bit of hope on it, though, right? Like the first drive of the game.
But like I don't know if they can be that type of offense that does that consistently. And those are the things we got to see that's got to be answered. I'm not saying they can't, but right now the evidence is telling you that things are feeling a lot harder than they should. And they gotta figure something out. They gotta figure out a way to kind of lubricate that offense, get it flowing, just have it going consistently because there's way too much talent. The offensive line, I thought, actually blocked well. It didn't look like a 6-sack game at all. And a few of them really weren't like just guys getting smoked. It's outside of the pocket and all that. He had time to throw. Mike Thomas is Mike Thomas. Like, I don't think there's any doubt at this point that he's an extremely good football player. Is he 2019? I don't know, but the signs are pointing more toward yes than no on that equation. So you just gotta
that touchdown catch was something else. I mean, Jameis threw that ball 175 miles per hour.
Oh man.
And it just stuck to Mike Thomas. Like, I mean, it's like there's a throw that I feel like you could go to over and over and over and over again whenever you need it.
But you got these guys. You got to be cool with the low air yards on some of these throws. I know it's like such a dirty topic, but like little passes to Mike, Jarvis, and Alvin are going to get you easy money, easy yards, and then every now and then you set up the deep ball, but I think you got to be looking in before you look out, and they're kind of looking out before looking in outside of like the few design drives, the start of this game and then the start of the third quarter, which are probably extremely scripted in both those situations. So like when you get outside of the script, can you run the offense that you need to run with these guys? And that's a huge question for them right now. But to answer my own question, no, I'm not taking Jameis out yet. It's way too soon for that.
Yeah, definitely. So I thought that, as bad as the offense looked at times this game, I think there were some good things that they happened. You guys both alluded to, the run game. I thought that was a big positive. Dwayne Washington came in at the end and looked like he was, fighting for his NFL career. I don't know who told him to go and get it, but he played.
He lived up to that interview. He had that interview during training camp, like where he was like kind of talking about how much more confidence he had, and he was definitely feeling himself. He showed by and
he looked good.
He's done nothing but succeed when they've given him the ball. I mean,
he looked good.
Do you remember he has the one game on his resume where they had to go to him because they were down to nobody else. He had over 100 yards in the second half of a Week 17 game. He's done nothing but show it. He's the exact opposite. He's never the training camp buzz guy, but he shows up whenever they give him the ball.
The only reason he's not the training camp buzz guy is because we don't believe that he's gonna. But like he looks great every summer. And he looked really, really good this summer.
Kevin Washington. I mean Dwayne Washington. Not the hero we want, but the hero we need. So get that man the ball.
That's
but
awesome.
it's funny. And just last thing on offense. I think getting Alvin back and making him a focus of this offense will kind of throttle the offense down the road that they need to go, right? And one play that I saw stood out really well, and like I said, it goes back to that first drive where Jameis dropped back. He looked at, he looked downfield, didn't like what he saw, and Tony Jones was running he was running right out of the backfield, and he threw it to him like right on time, and it was a nice gain. And I was just thinking in my head, I was like, if you get those type of passes to Kamara, then this offense will be fine, right? Because those are, that ball can't get picked off, and is a high percentage throw, and you put the ball in your playmakers' hands as soon as you possibly can, and let them do what they can with it. So I think that there's a little hope there. We've seen it in spurts, but it needs to become more consistent. I think that's the number one thing facing this team right now. So
I think the most positive thing you can say about Jameis, especially coming out of a 3 interception game, is I think he has shown us again for the first 7 quarters of this season that he's willing to take a punt. Like that has, until the end and the wheels came off in this game, that has not been the concern with Jameis Winston.
That's fair.
Like, I don't think he's going to go into Carolina and throw them into trouble. I haven't thought that of Jameis Winston in a Saints uniform yet, which is what everyone feared would be the worst quality of him. Although I did think his worst play in this game, and I think the back probably had a lot to do with it, was he had that free first down that he should have run for. And he kept trying to throw. I don't know what he was seeing, what he was thinking. I know he didn't want to run, but man, he could have run 2 yards and run out of bounds, moved the chains. Instead, he fumbled and they had to punt because they luckily recovered it. And so I think the back injury came into play. We haven't really talked about the back injury at all. Obviously, you have to consider making a change at quarterback if his back is hurting him. And I think only, Dennis Allen kept saying, I don't think that was the issue. So there has been no feedback so far that his back was limiting his ability in that game. And hopefully it won't going forward.
Yeah, look, people got to allow him to have a bad game too. Like if he's your starting quarterback, it's not going to be 17 games with 158 passer rating. Like there's going to be some bad games. In the context of this one, you're against an extremely good defensive coordinator, a really talented defense, a slugfest. Things went sideways, and yeah, they fell apart. And I'm not giving them a pass at all for some of the stuff that happened down the stretch. But you do have to allow your guy to have a bad game and bounce back. So the idea that he has one bad game and his tenure as the starter of the New Orleans Saints is over is crazy. Those are people just looking for confirmation on stuff that they already believe about him, and that's unfair, man. You gotta give him a chance to bounce back. Now, I will say this: I think if this game leads to another bad game and another one after that, I think then you start looking at
if
things
they don't get right in London, I will allow everyone to push the panic button because London has always been the Saints' cure. Actually, any long distance travel where they spend a week somewhere else, everything is right after that trip. So if we come back from London and we're still worried about this team, then we know there's something different.
Yeah, because I mean, look, the fact of the matter is that he's the guy they're paying $7 million a year, and the leash probably isn't as long as it would be for a $30 million quarterback. That's just realistic, and their actions this offseason showed us that they were willing to look other places. So he's their guy, but like their guy has to deliver, and there probably is a point where if things are going crazy and going off the rails, and I think he's going to right the ship this week. I would be surprised if they don't win 2 out of the next 3, honestly. But if for some reason, if it's this dissension and the darkness and, his back's not healing and all this stuff's going on, at a certain point, you got to do something to save your season and not let it go too far sideways.
Yeah, we're nowhere near that yet.
It's nowhere near
that's
that.
way...
You can be one-on-one. You can be one-on-one.
This is a 1-1 team too, by the way. This is not a team that has the wrong record right now.
It is not.
That's
well,
a good
if
point.
they have the wrong record, it's
0-2.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
They're a hair away from 0-2, and they're a hair away from 2-0. So 1-1, 1-1. Take it. Walk away from the table. Don't think about what might have been. Just take your 1-1. That's what you are right now.
Yeah, definitely. Other side of the ball. The big talking point, at least amongst fans from what I'm seeing, is pass rush concerns. And I think it probably boils down to a sack number, personally, which in my opinion is not a really good way of evaluating pass rush, but that's never here nor there. But what's going on with the pass rush? Nick, I know you spoke a little bit about it. All right, go ahead. It's all yours. Take me off the camera.
They played Marcus Mariota, who you do not blitz, and you don't even run stunts against because you're going to create seams and you're opening yourself up. And now, granted, they gave up a lot of rushing yards in that game, so the viability of that is questionable. 2, they played Tom Brady, and he got rid of the ball at an average of 2.2 to 2.3 seconds. Somebody on Twitter was like, well, what happened? Like, they got to him before. Like, all of a sudden, he's throwing the ball faster. Actually, yes. He threw the ball faster than he ever has. It was like 2.4, 2.4, 2.5, 2.5 in the playoff game. He threw it in 2.3 seconds. They also sacked him one time in that game. So when a guy's getting rid of the ball that quick, it's really hard to do anything. And I'm surprised that people are surprised by this because this is exactly how Breeze played forever. And every year
Yeah.
one or two guys would get hurt, and we'd be like, wow, how are they doing this? How can they put anybody in there? It's because the quarterback's throwing the ball so fast that nobody can manufacture a pass rush.
Well, and the bigger part of that answer is, did anybody see Tom Brady have any success in this game?
Because the weirdest talking point of all time.
Well,
crazy.
No, it's a fair talking point. I mean, they're tied for last in the NFL in sacks, and you want to know why. But
but this isn't the game where you're ripping your hair out about how the defense plays.
Because that's the thing. Like in Atlanta, we were being apologetic. We were saying, well, it was their defensive game plan, and you could look at it and you could be like, well, that plan didn't work.
Yes.
Their plan worked in this game.
Yes.
I mean, Tom Brady threw a 28-yard touchdown pass when they had to put their third-string cornerback on the field, and he found him after Marshawn Lattimore got ejected. You take that one throw away, he didn't have a highlight in this game. And they had to like convert like 3rd and 9s and 3rd and 5s and twice get defensive penalties that were going to take him off the field. I mean, Tom Brady was having zero success. He was throwing tablets or whatever. So, their defensive game plan worked in this game. Now, we want to see the pass rush because that's supposed to be the strength of this team, but we don't have evidence that they're not good at rushing the pass.
Yeah, the pass rushing down is what down? Third down, right? Third down, they had 3 guys on the defensive line rushing the passer, plus Caden Ellis, who would rush if the running back didn't go out on a route. If he did go out on a route, he was in coverage. So they're sending 3 guys on the pass rushing down. Yeah, they aren't getting them. They're playing coverage, but they're winning that down. So it wasn't even about getting sacks at that point. If somebody got there and hurried them and got a sack, like that's a great thing that happens, but it wasn't what they were playing.
You'd be
for
more
in those
worried
situations.
if Tom Brady was standing back comfortably in the pocket, making throws down the
He
field.
was throwing the ball so fast to his own detriment at times.
Exactly. He did not look good in that game.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure any defense will make a trade for no sacks and 3 points for the opposing team in the fourth quarter. So that's a good deal for.
They got a sack when Davenport and Nanyamata just blew up the whole side of the line, and he stepped up in the shot tunnel. And Davenport got suplexed on that play. Davenport got to him another time, and Brady like shoveled it out. And because he's Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette happened to be just manifested right where the ball was going, and he caught it, so it wasn't even an incompletion. But they were getting some push. It was just there's nothing they could do. I mean, it's just now they go into Carolina and there's no pass rush, there's no success, and Baker Mayfield, who's been sacked I think 6 times already, if they don't have anything going there, then I'm looking at them a little bit funny. But I mean, at this point, it's understandable why they're in the situation they're at.
I'm not even saying sacks. If they affect the quarterback, I think that's the number one goal, because
we still do need to see it. I mean, we can't give them a total free pass. No. We just haven't seen them not do it yet. Because of these.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And I was watching Davenport this game, and I think probably half of his snaps he was chipped or doubled or something like that. And, he still, and so, I just think you got to have the context of the game, right? And even the coach said it, right? He said, did Brady, I listened to DA, and, I think Bobby asked him on WBL if he was concerned about lack of pass rush. And DA said, he said, I think that's a misconception. Those is his words when he talked about the pass rush. And he said that was a dominant defensive performance, and he was getting rid of the ball extremely quickly. So those are DA's words. Right. And so I think the film marries what he said. And I think that's
when you're sending 3, 2 guys are getting doubled every play because there's 5 guys on the offensive line. So
exactly. Let's run through quickly a couple other things on defense, then we can talk about the fight if we even need to go too far into that. But
me and Nick are gonna recreate it. We've been working on it all morning. He's playing the part of Leonard Fournette. DJ's gonna be Marcus May.
I'll be the referee.
DJ, I'm sorry.
I'll be the referee. That meme where the referee was like kind of doing the boxing thing himself. But Pete Werner, man, is he the best player on the defense right now? Like,
I mean, I think so. Yes, I think he is. He's everywhere. He's playing well. He's amazing. He's looking like and I mean, look, there's a lot of football to sustain to stand by in that statement. But through 2 weeks, if someone came up to me and said, "Hey, I think he's the best player on the team right now," the only other guy that I think I would bring up ahead of him would maybe be Lattimore. I think Lattimore has played really, 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 really good the last 2 weeks. But he's on that list with the top 2 or 3 people. I mean, Landry, Thomas are somewhere on there, but consistently 2 games. I mean, he's been incredible.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to add to that. I mean, I obviously just have to put the asterisk next to it. They let Cordero Patterson run for 120 yards in the first game, so it's hard to say that he's playing dominant, but he's cleaning a lot up. I think the important thing to see is is his range in both the run game and the passing game. Like nothing's getting to that third level against
I mean,
him.
he made some plays against Atlanta that
Yeah.
delivered the win though too as well. Like he had to stop on Mariota for the loss of yards. I don't think a lot of stuff that happened with Patterson was because of him.
I'll say this: he's showing something that I see DeMario show a lot, and he's in the backfield before the play begins. And that's an intelligence thing, right? That's a smart player knowing the formation, knowing the defense, knowing where the ball is going, and beating the lineman off the snap. And I just think that for a second-year player, it's kind of, in the linebacker is one of those positions where if you can't read and diagnose, you're going to look slow if you run a 4-3. And I just think that, just watching him snap by snap, he's probably, it's like he makes a play almost every time you watch him, right? Or he's in the right place, right? And he's just been good, right? I don't want to overreact to it neither, but just when you look at the play on the field, it matches.
He's doing something right because I haven't seen Quan Alexander's name mentioned in 2 weeks.
They're still talking about Quan. They're still talking about Quan. It's still all over Twitter, man. It's unbelievable. They really are.
The ghost of Quan will live forever.
Yeah, it's just like, you got to be kidding me. This guy can't be playing any better.
Well, all right. Let's say something negative about the defense, though, before we give them too much credit. They played great against Tampa Bay, but unfortunately, this was the game where everyone was going to find out, do they miss CD Deuce or not? Did they screw up by getting rid of CD Deuce? And I think the jury's still out on whether they have a good enough plan in the nickel.
Their slot play has not been good.
Yeah,
it's not been good
concern.
enough.
Yeah, that's a concern. I think it may make
when Roby gets in there, maybe. Yeah.
But we'll see.
Getting a Debo back is going to be. We barely mention it, but what a huge.
It's a big deal.
There's another thing about how they could have had this Tampa Bay game. No Lattimore and no Adebo in the fourth quarter when they finally gave up points.
Man, this might be way too soon to say. I might think about getting Alontae Taylor some snaps to get Roby on the inside.
I tweeted the same thing yesterday. Yeah, exactly. Just, like, what does it look like if you just keep Roby in the slot? Because that's where he is comfortable. Apparently that's where he played all training camp, and that's a tough position, right? Playing in the slot, you got more things going on than you do outside, and so just keep him in that position and maybe cycle the guys outside. That may kind of give you some stability out there in the secondary.
Even if it isn't extensive snaps, like they found a way last year to play Adebo and Roby, and Roby would get a handful of snaps every game. Like if you could find a way to get Taylor 10, 15 snaps just to see what he can do and find out, give him the chance to surprise you the way Adebo did last year. Maybe it happens again, maybe it doesn't, but
I'm not giving up on Justin Evans. He showed a lot of good things, and actually they did a really good job of adjusting after it was clear that that's who Tom Brady was going to pick on early. They had a really good plan, and that was probably something we were going to. It's one of the things I had written down that maybe I was going to write about if it was another DA masterpiece, which was potentially going to be what it looked like I might be writing about early in the fourth quarter, was how well they adjusted to that early when they realized, they're going to keep putting Mike Evans in the slot. This is where they think they can attack us. And they kind of put an end to that quickly. So that was only early in the game where they got to that. But it is just interesting that both when this game turned into a slugfest and when Tampa Bay ended up winning, that obviously I'm sure there was a lot of chatter about this wouldn't have happened on CD Deuce's watch or something like that.
Yeah, I would say it didn't happen on Marshawn's watch neither. But
no, it didn't.
Yeah, because he went right after PJ, right? Once the depth got hit. But DA spoke about Alontae Taylor, and he said he was impressed with how he played. And look, I think if that's what he showed in first game, I think he may warrant more snaps. So some other things going on. I thought Shy Tuttle played a pretty good game. I think I saw him have 8 or 9 tackles for interior defense.
Leading tackler on the team.
I was like, I don't know how that happens, right? But that's a good thing.
22 snaps and 9 tackles.
He's like all pro for like a Hall of Famer for a game. So I thought he played well. What do you guys make of the Peyton Turner, him not being active this game?
It's bad look. He's first round pick and he's not active for the game. That's obviously a guy that I think, it doesn't have to be an extensive conversation. You're like, it's somebody that's on notice and needs to take advantage the next time he gets on the field.
Yeah, no question. And DA didn't sugarcoat. DA's not a sugarcoater.
He's a straight shooter, man.
Yeah, and he's like, we made that decision because we wanted to get Tano in the game and see if we could have more success at that position.
Yeah, which is saying that we thought Tano could give us more success at that position. Yeah.
No, I'm not ready to bury Peyton Turner yet because I like the skill set, but you wanted to see more. Look what the other guys in his class are doing, Pete Werner and Paulson Adebo.
Exactly. Yeah, has to play on the field. All right, last thing, the fight. What's your guys? You guys spoke a little bit about it on the post game pod, so we're not gonna rehash everything. But just your thoughts on how it played out, and subsequently, Mike Evans has been suspended for a game. So just I'll give my take quick. I thought they got it wrong. I thought that the Marshawn Fournette thing probably would have died down if Mike Evans didn't come over there and kind of take the cheap shot. So I just thought that they got it wrong, and I just think that they got a lot wrong in this game, and I think that's something that stands out.
Yeah, I did not take this as a game. There are a lot of games where you can say, man, the officials. And I wrote that story last year about like this jarring penalty disparity that the Saints have been facing that drove the team nuts, that they were well aware of and talked to the league about, that they're finishing like last in the league in penalties called against their opponents every year. They really feel like is someone out to get us. But I did not feel like that's what this game was. The Roby call we talked about, that happens it all 9 times out of 10. If your helmet hits somebody, even if you think, what else could I have done? There was a defensive holding penalty against Shy Tuttle that was pretty obvious, that even though it was at a killer moment, 12 men on the field was an obvious penalty they couldn't get away from. But this one, the officials, I think, absolutely got wrong. Marshawn getting ejected for that is insane. He shoved a guy back who shoved him. Right. Well, and he got ejected.
Fournette has to go if Lattimore goes.
Right.
Either they both go or neither one of them goes.
Yeah.
Evans should have went. Bruce Arians should have been sent somewhere. Like, I don't know what was going on. Like, him kind of sending Evans out there in that video was crazy to me. And then the subsequent talking point about them not having a booth. Mickey Loomis sits behind us damn near every road game. So this thing that, like, well, a former retired head coach being sitting in the general seating, who the hell is he that he's so important that he can't sit in the press box like Mickey Loomis does or Jeff Ireland does? Crazy talking point. Just say you want him on the sidelines. There's nothing wrong with him being on the sidelines. Like, there's a lot of people on the sidelines. Bruce Arians, if they want to give him a pass to be down there, there's an allotment of people.
Or use the Superdome elevators as an excuse. Yeah. That's, then they could have been like, you ever tried to get up and down that elevator? I'd have missed the whole third quarter.
Just a stupid talking point, man. Yeah. Like, just say you wanted him on the sideline. It's cool. Like, there's nothing weird about that.
Yeah. No, but... yeah, the Marshawn ejection was just an absolute killer, and I do not understand what he was ejected for. And it's a reason why the Saints were using it as an excuse, but every player, not just the defensive players, Mark Ingram, Michael Thomas, it's all they could talk about after the game is, what is my guy Marshawn supposed to do when these guys come after him like that? And yeah, obviously you would love to teach him. Hold your hands at your side and point to them and ask the officials to throw a flag. And that's just not how it works. But Marshawn getting ejected in that is egregious, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I definitely thought they got it wrong. And to the whole Bruce Arians things, I don't know if he's trying to like outdo Jerry Jones by circumventing his head coach as much as he can. Because if I was Todd Bowles, I wouldn't want the former head coach on the sidelines, telling people what to do. So I don't know. It's just a bad look. So, but man, that's all we got. It's been a good first rodeo, Mike. It's fun, man. Let's keep it up. And you guys who are not subscribed to NewOrleans.Football, I really don't know what else we got to do, but we're going to keep asking you. We will keep asking you because I feel like we're putting out a good product here. So thank you guys for joining us. See you next week, or we'll see you in a couple of days, actually. We got a little different schedule here. So we see you Thursday. We out.
We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. They tripping Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
We in the dome right now, we in the zone right now. Put your hands in the air, cause it's on right now. Yeah, we back up in this thing and we coming for the crown. They tripping Kev on the mic.
It's about to go down.
As you can tell, last year it was an off year. But we reloaded and now it is our boss year. A Devo back there and yeah, we got the badger. Don't forget my son and don't forget the pass rush. Jameis